What's up, everybody? Blue Star _ Ubu here, and today I'm joined by Aspen, as usual, but also by a special guest, and assuming we're uploading this...
I dropped a water bottle.
I was wondering what that was. Yeah, if this is going up on Movie Grits, then I suppose this is the first time we've had someone other than me and Aspen.
Oh, true.
Introduce yourself, water bottle dropper.
Hello, it's me. I'm the creator of the butt cheese squeeze.
I don't think eating those pizza rolls was a good idea.
And I'm a very, renowned individual in cheese culture. You may have not heard of me, but my name is Sir Derpy, and I like to talk about funny stuff. And I've never been here before in my life, so this is kind of cool.
Gentlemen, I give you Crystal Pepsi.
Alright, so, before the convention started on Friday, it was Thursday. Ooh. Now, for me, it was a work day. It was not impressive. Did anything happen for either of you two?
Well, Thursday for me was me realizing that my costume was not up to snuff, and I spent basically all of Thursday making my costume.
Oh, well, cool.
Yeah.
So why wasn't it up to snuff, would you say?
Well, so I went as the Vashta Narada from Doctor Who, which is a skeleton in a spaceman costume.
And maybe the editor can throw up that picture real quick with a vine boom.
But I had the suit. I mean, it was going to be really cheapo style. It just had like a white jumpsuit and a plastic astronaut helmet I got off of Amazon. But I realized the helmet would not stay in place because it was just like floating and only touching the top of my head. And especially if I had the visor up, it would just like fall backwards off my head. And I was like, well, this is not good. So I spent like all day trying to affix something to the bottom of it to hold it on my shoulders and not fall all over the place. And I had like 2 or 3 versions I went through before I finally stuck a white plastic bin to the bottom of it, and that worked.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
All right, what about you, Derpy? Did you have a Thursday?
Yeah, I had a pretty wild Thursday, I ain't gonna lie. I went on the airport. I flew into Texas, because I live in Tennessee. But I flew in, and it's the second time I've been on a plane by myself, and I landed in, and then I got in the hotel room, and believe it or not, I opened the window, and I found out, man, everybody has the same view of me, apparently, because everybody else had a big, gigantic, like, it was just windows. I opened the window, and there's windows everywhere. It was called the Magnolia Hotel. Yeah, that was what it was called. It was very big. It was like a gigantic H. It was like, what the heck? I went there because it was cheap as heck. I ain't gonna lie.
H for heck.
And
Because that's what you'll feel like you're in when you get to Dallas.
Yeah.
the elevators scared the crud out of me. I hated that elevator. The elevators would shake, they would squeak, and I'm like, what is this elevator? I'm like, how are y'all? And then I found out this place was made in the 1920s or something, or the 30s. I can't remember what it was. I thought it was Great Depression, and then Ubu told me that it wasn't Great Depression area time. And
Yeah, it was the 20s, and I can verify the elevators did scare him because every time we got on it, he reminded me he didn't like them.
And then we got on one, dude, and it started, I was like, I don't like that one in particular. Like, there was one in particular, I was like, yeah, this one's nightmare fuel. But,
He had an arch nemesis elevator, and then we found one that was worse than that one, I'm pretty sure, if I remember
I changed my mind. I changed my mind so freaking fast.
He's like, the other one isn't so bad now.
Oh, man.
So, but it was pretty cool, at least to get down there. But on the way out there, because I was gonna meet a homie from online for the first time there, I went to the desk to be like, hey, because I only had one bed in my room, right? And if Ubu was gonna share a room with me, I was like, all right, well, let's see if we can ask them about it. So I asked if they had a rollout bed, and they're like, yeah, we do, but we got to make sure your room is okay. And then he looked at my room, and he goes, nah, it's a fire hazard, bro. And I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. He can probably do something else there. He could probably get an air mattress. And he just sat there and thought. He's like, you know what? I'll do you something better. I'll give you a different room. I'm like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'll pay you for it. And he goes, nah. He's like, it's all good, bro. So we got a free room with 2 beds in it.
Nice.
And I crud you not, the view, it got better, but it wasn't the best. So it's like, I thought that was really funny too.
It was a
So
very
it's like-
unique view.
Yeah, it was. It was like looking at old architecture, but like it looked like there was a demon in it or something like that. So it's like, it was
What?
really funny.
Yeah, we were like facing the Sanctum Sanctorum from Doctor Strange, except it was like 20 stories high.
Basically, yeah. It was really weird. We're also on the 16th floor, by the way. we weren't on like the bottom floor or anything. It was like 16 floors high, and that scared me.
We were like eye to eye with like weird copper gargoyle things
Yeah.
on the other building.
So that was the main hotel experience there, was that. So he gave us that room for free, and I was like, based. So we had a second bed and a bigger room, basically, and a better view. So I was like, nice.
It's funny because there was like a Yelp review or something for that hotel where someone like gave it 1 star because they kept like begging and pleading for a rollout bed because they had like 2 extra people staying in their room, and they just apparently did not care.
Yeah.
They were like, they don't care if you've got 3 people in one room. They will not give you a rollout bed. and then, Derpy goes through this where he asks for one, and they're like, it's a fire hazard, have a free room. And I was like, well, dang, they really are committed to not giving you a rollout bed.
Yeah,
we got
like-
an entire free room before we got a rollout bed.
Yeah, exactly. We'll give you a free room. Free upgrade.
Please, take anything, just not the rollout bed.
That thing's cursed.
Yeah, they got a curse where it's like if they pull up the rollout bed, like some wild crud's gonna happen. The homeless rise up and strike the
You're
building.
going to
or
wake up
something.
and be in that building next door.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, nice. It was a fancy place. They had no breakfast either, so you had to go down to like a cafe.
Yeah, that's
next
how
to it.
fancy it was. You had to pay for breakfast.
But yeah, that was the main like hotel thing I would say for it. But I will tell you this though, downtown Dallas is really cool. They got this big screen that like warps around the whole like area down there. It's like you would think that you're at a Times Square thing or something, seeing the screen wrap around the way it does. I'm not sure.
Oh.
There's like a
sadly.
big digital screen that wraps around the corner of a building.
Oh. I
Yeah.
didn't
It's
know.
a sight. If you're
Yeah.
like walking around and enjoying the view and not driving in traffic and wanting to Kermit sewer slide,
Yeah.
then it's pretty cool. And that's a good view because you also see the little dome that looks like the AT&T logo fell out of the sky.
But yeah, that was randomly there too. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but it looks cool. I'll take a picture of it. So
That little plaza in front of our hotel genuinely looked like a VR chat hub world or something.
It does.
It does, yeah. When he said that, I was like, this freaking does, and I will never unsee that it looks like a VR chat place.
Especially with the orb on the ground.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just like weird future like architecture and people just hanging out enjoying life aimlessly.
This is a picture from Friday that looks more like accurate towards it, yeah.
That's weird. The sky is like so blue, it looks Photoshop.
Yeah, honestly that looks like a picture for a magazine, like a stock photo.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like
dude.
highly edited.
They need to like straight up hire me, bro. That's like I did that from a phone straight up.
Yeah, you
bro.
need to go into photography.
But yeah, I will say that was a very fun night. Cowboy Chow is actually the picture I sent right there. It's like right further, like right below that building right there.
Oh,
That's like the
okay.
long one right there. And I love Cowboy Chow. I went there to eat with my friend. I walked down there, about to go and meet him, and I had this shirt on that says "You belong here," and it says Compassion Church is a church I go to. And I walked down there, and this guy comes up to me, and he goes, "Do you have the time to talk about the Bible or anything like that?" And I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh, this is pretty cool. He wants to talk to me about the Bible." That must have been my shirt because I'm wearing something. I was like, sure. I was like, I don't mind. He goes, and then he starts telling me, he goes, yeah. He said, "Have you heard about Mother God?" And instantly, I was like, "No." And I was just like, I've never heard of Mother God in my entire life. And so I told him, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go on a walk, and I'm gonna go meet my friend. And then he goes, "Can I give you my card?" And I'm like, sure. And he says, "Yeah, you can call me later if you want." I'm like, okay. And I took the card and I kind of put it in my pocket. When I got back to the hotel room, in the nicest way possible, I did wad that card up because the card was very alarming. I didn't know if I was entering, like, I didn't know if it was a cult or not, right? Like, they had a picture of a baby and stuff on the front of it and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, man. But I tell you, Cowboy Chow is the best restaurant I ever eaten at in my life. I ate that food, and I was like, dude, I gotta take the homie Ubu here, bro, because this is amazing, bro. And I went there for the meme. Like, it's literally called Cowboy Chow. Like, how Texas can you get? You know what I mean? And I was just like, all right, let's go and get it. Like, I'm not someone who's normally from Texas, but I got some fire food.
But that day, I was from Texas.
Yeah, I wanted to live in Texas at that point, bro. I'm not even lying, bro.
Yeah, and spoilers, we did go back.
Yeah.
I did get to eat some Cowboy Chow. Not as much as I would have liked, because I spent all Saturday afternoon eating Bucky Nuggies. But so I did not have an appetite for more than like half a burger and a few fries and a churro. But which I guess for some people is a meal, but for me is not as an appetizer. Yeah,
that was my main thing, I think, on Thursday. I think that was the main thing. I just went back up, and I'm like, all right, I'm going back, because it was already like 10 o'clock at night, and there were homeless people already gathering around the hotel, and I'm like, I'm in danger. Not because of homeless people. I'm pretty sure there's some really cool homeless people. It's just when people are laying around out of nowhere, and it's like 10 at night, it's probably not cool that I'm a guy by myself, and, you know, I look like I'm poor already, so I think I'm all right, but it's still like...
But you're carrying a bag from Cowboy Chow, so they're like...
That's true. I do have some Cowboy Chow with me, so I'm like, all right.
You walk by a homeless sitting on the street, and he goes, I smell Cowboy Chow.
I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, listen, I already ate it all. I brought a cup, that's it.
They're all just sleeping on that fake grass, just waiting for some... like unsuspecting pawn to walk by with his leftovers so they can attack him.
And then this is the last thing on Thursday, I promise. I'm talking like crazy, but there's a crosswalk. There was an old lady and an old man and 2 grandkids, I think, and the light didn't change to green, and these homies started walking because they didn't see any cars come by. And I was like, I'm freaking out. And then a car came up and they backed up and then it went off. And I didn't say anything. I was just like, man, I'm like, y'all can get your like homies killed or something, bro. Like, this is crazy, bro. I don't know. Dallas is, wasn't that busy at night, but still, I was like, homies, don't get your kids hurt in front of me, bro. I'd freak out, bro.
I was busy enough. There was like, I mean, every night there was one. In my head, I pictured one person just full throttling. Like around our hotel all night consistently.
Yeah.
All right, well, we all went to bed in our respective beds at the Magnolia Hotel, wherever Aspen was, me at home. Then Friday came, and that is when I enter the picture, because me and my family went on a road trip. And I won't go into the details of how interesting it is to go on a road trip with my family, because my parents have a very interesting dynamic where one of them's driving scares the other one, and the other one is not quiet about it, so it makes the road trips awkward. But I just put in an earbud and just kind of listen to YouTube. And then all of a sudden we were at Buc-ee's. And Buc-ee's is a wonderful place. I wish it wasn't as busy, but it's still good. I bought a brisket sandwich, and I forget what the name of the other one was. Derpy, do you remember?
I have to be careful because it sounds like a swear, but like it's the brisket, that thing.
No, it was the Bucktastic or something like that, right?
I heard it as the other thing. I ain't gonna lie.
And then I also got a couple presents because it is tradition. I wanted to get them little signs that say toilets because that's what I got Aspen last time. Unfortunately, I could not find it. So, Aspen, would you care to tell the audience what I got you?
You got me a beautifully handcrafted little square of wood that had a cute little cow and some like watercolor style art in the background that says "Live Simply." And it is currently on my fireplace mantle.
Wonderful. But that's not the only thing I got. What else did I get you, Derpy?
I got he pulled out the things. I got this thing from Buc-ee's, and I was like, it was a white fabric thing. I was like, oh, this looks fancy. And on the front it said, I love Jesus, but I cuss a little, and it made me laugh a bit. I was like, dude, no way, bro. That's how I live. I live the life as a sailor, homie. So I ain't gonna lie. As a joke, I promise. For anybody who didn't know that.
Okay, so from Terrell, Texas, where Buc-ee's is. We went through painstaking Dallas traffic, and then we found the Magnolia Hotel, and we rounded it like 8 times because there is no freaking place to park anywhere.
Isn't. It's so funny. They have no parking at this hotel.
Dallas was built with, like, it has roads, yes. Like, I will grant it that. It thought cars might drive through here, but they never once thought maybe, just maybe, someone will just happen here for some reason. And not, you know, they won't have anywhere to park. You know, they won't want to. Like, the only people who might come through here will call ahead to get a private valet or something.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. So what we ended up doing was a little ways down the block. We pull over the car where one of those little parking meters, but specifically for tow trucks for some reason, were me and my mom hopped out with all of my stuff. So we just walked down the block to the hotel holding pillows and a fan and a GameCube. And the first thing that happens, we haven't even rounded the corner to head to the hotel, and a man asks my mom for money.
Oh, dang, dude.
Oh, we also had a box of donuts because my mom was like, maybe I should have given him a donut. I was like, no, those are for Derpy.
One of Derpy's donuts.
I wouldn't have minded.
So eventually we get there. No bums have gotten our money. And that's when, I think I have the picture. I think my mom sent it to me of when me and Derpy embrace in the lobby.
I don't know how it looks. I've never seen it, by the way, so I have no clue what it looks like.
You can tell that you saw it because you're distracted.
I hate the way I look in pictures, bro. I ain't even lying, bro. Like, I look great in video. I don't know why I look the way I do in freaking pictures, bro.
I know it was supposed to be like a touching moment, but it is funny to look at.
Yeah, it is it's a funny moment. That's why I take it anyway.
Oh, man.
And then we go to the convention. I don't think anything of note happened on the way there, so we might as well fast forward to when we met Aspen.
That's
Do you have
me.
anything to add?
I mean, my journey was simple. I hopped in the car. I drove up. I stopped at Buc-ee's twice because I had to drive pretty far. I stopped at one of those Buc-ee's and I was like, I gotta return the favor. I got that toilet sign 2 years ago. It's time to return the favor. I was in Buc-ee's for 30 minutes trying to decide what the perfect gift would be. And I found not a sign, but it could be used as a sign.
It could be.
It is supposed to be a tray for hot sauces, I think. But essentially, it says on there, it has a little hot sauce, and then it says, it's about to get hot and spicy in here. And I was like, this is perfect for Ubu, for his bathroom, because it has to be a bathroom sign.
That is a good place to put it. I put it in my backpack during the convention, and it hasn't left my backpack because
The shame.
I forget, and then whenever I put stuff in my backpack for work, I hear a metal sound. I'm like, there it is.
Put it at work. Put it in someone's room.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I could put it in me and the housekeepers in the building I work in. We have a little break room that we hang out in. I could just put it out there on the little table.
Yeah.
No, I'll put it in the bathroom because it's applicable. Because things do get hot and spicy in there.
But then I did also get, because I didn't know if Derpy was going to have time to drive to Buc-ee's, so I got Derpy a Buc-ee's t-shirt and the cinnamon beaver nuggets or something like that.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I had them. They were the cinnamon. I remember.
So, yeah, I got those gifts, and then I drove up to Dallas. I stopped by my parents' place. We had a fun conversation about the presidential election, and then
Great.
my sister and
Wonderful.
I hopped in the car and drove to the convention center. But then that's when finally our destined heroes all met up with each other.
Yes.
Next to the kids' playroom in the convention center.
Yeah, the fun
Dude.
zone where you burp your Grogus.
Yeah, I wish we could have went there, burped a Grogus, but we don't have a Grogus. None of us have a Grogus.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
I'm sure we could have found
Yeah.
a Grogus at the convention.
No, I don't know about that. That would be scary.
I meant like a baby Yoda toy.
No.
Oh, I thought you
Steal
meant like a
child.
random child. I was like, well, I don't think the parent would be happy with that.
Yeah, I think
but...
parents are okay if you just want to burp the Grogus and then give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got it. I thought it was kind of cool that there was a guy that wanted to do like cartoon stuff for the kids, though. I thought that was kind of cool. He was right in front of it too, and I was like, that's
Oh
cool.
yeah.
He had
Yeah,
a
he had a
tuna
little
next
stand.
to him.
Yeah, it wasn't just any tuna, my dear Derpy. It was Charlie the tuna.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember we met up, we exchanged gifts, and you're like, I gotta take a picture with Charlie.
Well, I didn't expect to see a cardboard cutout of Charlie the tuna at the convention.
That's true.
So yeah, Friday. We're finally in the convention. What happened Friday? Oh, I do remember one thing that was pretty interesting. The first thing you do once you get to the convention, there's only one, is you just kind of aimlessly walk around and go, wow, look at the stuff,
Yes.
you know? And they do a good job of like keeping your attention, because I feel like it was true of last time I went to a convention, but this year in particular, you walk through the door and like slightly to the right, there's just a various knick-knack area.
Mhm.
There was like Hello Kitty stuff. There was a big M&M guy. I think like Kirby was there. Like just everything. If you think of a thing, there's like a knick-knack. There's a novelty of it. And
Yeah.
then you go further, and you got like the Star Wars and the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. The comics. And so you just kind of walk around, and you're like, wow, look at all this stuff. And you aren't really like registering what you're seeing, but you feel the need to like, kind of look like, wow, that's something I like. But we eventually ended up at this giant curtain. And on the other side of the curtain was William Shatner himself,
Shatner.
talking
Yeah.
about how he feels like a god and how the universe looks out for him. And something about eating pregnant women and
What
betting
did
on
he
horse
actually say
races.
that? I didn't hear him say that. I think I was so distracted by like walking in there. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I must have
Yeah,
been while I was walking in there trying to get a
Yeah,
picture
you were
of him
on
or
a
something.
mission to get the picture, but
Oh, okay,
me,
that's so
Aspen, and
wild.
Aspen's sister were like standing there, and every time I would mentally tune into what he was talking about, it was like blah 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 blah, horse races, blah 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 blah, horses, blah 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 blah, eating pregnant women, blah 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 blah. The
Like,
universe
what in
really
the
does
world?
feel like it's
Crazy.
looking out for me. Yeah, and it was like all in one like breath, basically.
It was like 2 minutes we were standing there, maybe.
Yeah, I wonder what, like, someone walked up and went, what was it like being on Star Trek? And that was the string of thought that came
Yeah.
out of that.
He's like, this is what it's like, man.
And I think we split up after that to just wander.
That sounds about right. I think so one thing I've noticed is you and your sister actually put together, like, a schedule of things you want to do, and you adhere to it. What I do is I make a schedule of things I want to do, and I don't do it.
Okay.
Because I'm just so enamored by all of the things I can buy that I just want to hang out there
Yeah.
all weekend.
I think the
I don't-
difference is, one, my sister thrives on structure. So I kind of just let her do her own thing, because if she doesn't have her structure, she kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
we meandered a little bit just to like get the vibe of the vendors this year. And then, of course, I walked over to the autographing area and just like took it in. And that's another thing that my sister can't handle is just like seeing celebrities. She was like, I'm gonna stand over here but look the other way. She's like afraid they're gonna perceive her. I don't know. But
yeah, they're gonna have like an opinion specifically of her.
Exactly. Which
that stands out.
I understand, whatever. But so we meandered and wandered, and I don't think we bought anything yet. We just kind of, wanted to absorb it. But we went to the Adam Savage panel, and it was fine. It was just like a lot of people asking, like, what was the most fun myth to film? What is your favorite cosplay you've ever done? Just questions like that. But all of that was fine. But the highlight of the show was when a small child walked up to the microphone, and the microphone was too tall, right? Because it's a child. And the kid is just like screaming up, trying to ask the question. So the host, because it was Adam Savage and the host to, bounce questions off, the host lady comes running down, like, super fast. Like, I was like, girl, chill. She comes sprinting off the stage to come, lower the microphone for the child. Of course, by the time she gets there, someone had already done that. And then she has to, I don't know, for some reason, she's on a timeline. She has to sprint back up to the stage. And in doing so, like a mad woman, I don't even know what happened. She tripped up the stage and face planted in front of Adam Savage and the entire crowd. And it was a bad angle for me because the stage is like high and like, people's heads. But I just saw her hair go flying. And Adam was just like, oh my goodness, are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine, ignore me, please. It was so embarrassing, but it's like, how can you not laugh at that? Because she was fine, she wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
I got you.
And that was probably the highlight of that panel for me. And then
the best part of seeing the Adam Savage was a woman fell up the stairs.
The crowd was like, ooh.
I was wondering if they all laughed or if they just went ooh, but I was like, man, it'd be pretty wild if they all automatically just started laughing, but like...
No, I was stifling my laughter because I knew I was being rude, but...
Yeah, I think it's a good thing I wasn't there.
Yeah, I think it would have been an absolute scene if you were there.
I think in the middle of the panel you would have heard... or something.
I had to like double over. It was bad.
Well, that's great.
What did you guys do in the meantime while I was watching this woman faceplant?
Oh, we bought stuff.
Okay.
So there was one guy who was selling art prints, naturally, and the one that caught my eye, it was a Powerpuff Girls one. It's all three of the girls with Mojo Jojo in the background. And I was like, I gotta have that. And I said, excuse me, sir, how much for a print? And he was like, it's $50 for one, but $40 for the second one and free for the third one. And I was like, I'll take Powerpuff Girls. I never watched Invader Zim, but I'll get the Invader Zim one. And then Derpy got a Mandalorian one. And he was like, okay, that'll be... do the math. And then he was like, and it's $10 a piece for plastic covers. And I said, okay, why not? When in Rome, let's get those. And he didn't even charge me for the plastic covers.
Ooh.
I'm curious if he was like more than just a guy who does fan art and sells it for a living. Because he had like a book of sketches. And you could buy the sketches for like hundreds of dollars.
Ooh.
So I don't know if he's just like really full of himself or really proud of his doodles, his creative process, his rough drafts, or if that means like something somewhat historical in a niche sense, I suppose. But he was a nice guy.
Yeah, I saw his he had some TMNT thing of sketches and stuff, and it's like $450. I'm like, I looked at that and I commented. One thing I did a problem with was I was very vocal about anything I was thinking right in front of people by an accident. And with him, he was very nice about it. But he's like, yeah, I get it because I do all this work myself or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. I'm like, I was like, oh, I got you. It looks really cool though. I was like, I just can't afford it. I openly told him, I said, I can't afford that.
That's fair.
So, but he was super nice to me. I even told him like it was like my first time being there, and he was really cool. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference of being like, this is too expensive because I don't see the value, and this is too expensive because I can't afford it. So I think
dude.
you're good.
I got
Now,
you.
to be fair, as we'll learn later, Derpy probably could have afforded
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're right.
But the next thing, there was a booth where there was this guy and he had like these metal art prints. And it was like one of those booths where like the lighting's kind of crazy, you know, almost like Sid's room from Toy Story or something. And one that stood out to me, it was the Animaniacs. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So I said, "Excuse me, sir." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How much for the Animaniacs thing?" And he was like, "We've only got 50 of those." And I was like, "Okay. Do you have any of them?" Like, why are you telling me this? He was like, "That one." And I went, "Okay. How much is it?" And I don't remember what he said. Probably like 50. And I was like, "Dude, this is a cool picture." So, sold. So I got a metal Animaniacs art print. It looks awesome. It's made of metal. There are apparently only 50 of them made. What more can I say? How awesome is that? I feel like it's somewhere along the way. Did you get... Yeah, this might be when you get your thing, Derpy. The first thing that you kept, like, being apprehensive about after you bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a panel. I saw a guy, this guy had these fabric art, right? This like fabric art. I went over to this guy because I was like, okay, it seems kind of cool. I'm going to ask him about clone troopers because he has this whole like scroll of like clone troopers and stuff. I'm like, I would really like to have that for my room. And I go up to this guy and he's kind of cool. I ain't gonna lie. I said, "Do you have one of clone troopers?" And he goes, "Yes, sir, I do." And he pulls out a horizontal one. I'm already floored because I'm like, bro, I don't want no freaking vertical one that's gonna like go in my entire wall. But he pull out a vertical one and he rolls it out and it's fabric. And I'm like, okay, it's canvas because I found that out because I went on the website. And it's like this really long, like I would say at least a couple feet long. And it has every clone trooper, or not every clone trooper, but a bunch of different variations of clone troopers from Star Wars. And it's so cool. And I asked him how much it was, and he goes, "About $300." and I sat there and I put my hands closer to it, and I went, "Oh man!" I said that out loud in front of him. And that's another thing where I'm like, yeah, I vocalized like instantly. I didn't even think about it. And he instantly was like, he's like, "But I'll cut you a deal." He goes, "I'll give it to you for a Friday deal for $150." And I'm like, "I got you, man. I'll buy it." and so I paid $150 for this thing. And I still have not put it up on my wall. I don't know how to. I don't want to put a thumbtack through it. I'm scared. And he was cool about it. And the entire time I could not let go of the thought, did he jip me? like, did he just say it was $300 to make me more like available to buy it? Like, you know, like he gives a big price and goes, "Don't worry, man, I'll cut it down for you." And so the entire time I'm talking to Ubu about it, I'm like, did he get me? Like the entire
for like
time.
the next day, he was like, "I'm still thinking about that scroll, homie. Like, did he jip me?" And I'm like, I kept telling him this like a few times. I was like, "So you paid $150. Do you think you got what you paid for?" And he was like, "Yeah, I think so." And I was like, "Then no." But anyhow, yeah, so.
And I did end up going on the website and found out I didn't get gypped. He actually did give it to me half off too. So I was like, yeah, I was just being a little sensitive about it or something. I guess.
Think the thing that threw you off was like the car salesman talk where they make you feel like you're special, where they're like, "Tell you what, pal, wink, wink. You know, sparkle in the teeth. I'll cut you a deal since it's Friday." Do you feel like you were gypped?
No, I don't. I just need to put it up somewhere or something like that. But I like it. It was really cool. I really liked it. My mom was like, "You paid $150 for this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Wait till you hear something later, Mom."
So you mentioned how like you would blurt things out, and I feel like that's a nice time to mention the DVD booth.
Oh, no.
So
I didn't know if that was Friday, but that's funny if it is.
I'm pretty sure it was Friday.
Yeah.
So I found a booth. It had a lot of Blu-rays and DVDs, and they were all really cool. I just kind of glossed over them at first, And then I like rounded the corner and I found I was, I've been in like a buy DVDs of cartoons mood. And so I was like, do they have anything I want? And I saw the Powerpuff Girls logo. And I pulled it off the shelf because before I left for the convention, I was on Amazon and I saw that the complete series is like $60-something on Amazon. And I was like, if I have money after this convention, I'll buy that. But if it's at the convention, I'll buy it there. So lo and behold, here's the complete series. And I was like, wow. I pull it off the shelf. And, like, for a split second, I'm like, cool. And then immediately I'm like, this is the cover for the movie. But they've obviously edited it to say the complete series. And then I flipped it over, and I don't know where they got the art, but it wasn't anything official. Like, maybe they could get you with the front cover if you aren't already familiar. I recently bought the Powerpuff Girl movie on VHS, so I'm familiar with that cover.
But the back cover, terrible.
Yeah, the back cover, it's like, okay, so some of these look like the actual Powerpuff Girls, but some of them look like fan art. And
yeah, what is that?
There's just like unbearable like font just covering it, which no official company release would do.
Yeah, this looks like someone's mixtape from the early 2000s.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I don't know what a gray triangle with the letter U in the middle of it means, but it's on the front and the back. And
Universal.
So, yeah, and
It's a
Derpy,
universal copy.
So Derpy walks up and is like, oh, you find something cool, homie? And I was like, yeah. And I like leaned in and I went, this is bootleg. And he went, homie, what? You said it's bootleg? And I looked at him and I was like, Derpy, there's a reason I whispered, because the guy's standing right here.
Did he hear?
I don't know. I didn't even look at him. I didn't even like...
You just dropped it and ran?
Yeah, I just put it back up and I was like, let's go.
I thought they left it unmanned or something. I had no clue who it was. He probably heard me. I don't know.
You thought he found it on the floor or something?
Yeah,
I don't even know who the owner was. I was just saying it, and I was just like, all right.
Yeah, he was like, it was one of those booths where there's like a wall, and then it turns, and then there's like an entrance into a domain with more stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like standing in that doorway, and we were like a couple feet away, like right there, like kind of at the corner of the doorway, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So he wasn't directly next to us, but he probably heard Derpy. If someone wasn't, yeah, I mean, it was comical because I felt like I felt like a sweat, like.
Cold
oh
sweat.
My gosh! Yeah,
it was into a convention fight because I blurted it out loud by accident.
Yeah, I didn't even like look around to see if he was like looking at us or anything. I just put it back up on the shelf and was like, "Let's go." Which sucks because they did have a Mr. Sinister action figure from X-Men that looked really cool, but I was like, I don't know, on principle, I don't want to buy anything from these people.
Yeah,
they might recognize me as the guy whose friend yelled, "It's bootleg,"
the loudest decibel possible.
Yeah.
I cut their prices in half because of that. Like, all their people up there were like, oh, it's bootleg, I'm out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, their prices were good, but it's because there wasn't anything official there, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume it's not that hard to get the Powerpuff Girls.
Even, I walked by a Blu-ray one time. I think it was, like, the next day or the other day. Arcane, there was Arcane from League of Legends. And it looked so terrible. Like the light, like the cover of it did not look normal. And so I think that they had they probably had more than just that being bootlegged. Because of that.
I think the other ones that stood out to me, they had a bunch of like Japanese DVDs for like Ultraman and like, you know, some random like anime stuff that's like, what is this doing here? You know? And would it even work on my American DVD player?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think for the most part, that's everything for Friday. I'm trying to remember. Oh, so me and Derpy, we walked through. Unlike some people, we like to brave the celebrity lines.
Ugh, drama.
And not actually to talk to any of them,
No.
because I don't have the patience, but just to see who's there.
Yeah.
And so Derpy and I were standing there, just kind of looking around, and doth our eyes deceive us, but standing probably like a foot away is, I'm going to butcher his name because I don't know it that well, but I think it's like Tamara Morrison.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is Jango Fett / Boba Fett / the live action clone troopers. And him and his assistant walk by, and to his assistant he says Friday, and
Yeah.
I just kind of go hey, and he doesn't hear me.
I was gonna say that I heard you say like it's Django Fett or something like that, and I didn't realize until he like was right in front of me. And I'm like, oh, it's him. like I was right there.
You were like, that's not him. He's got his head.
That's true.
But but yeah, so we got to see Book of Boba Fett himself out of the bacta tank, not taking a nap. Here he is. And it was very underwhelming, but also very surreal, just because, like,
yeah,
it was weird. It wasn't like I was starstruck. I just didn't expect for just like one of the special guests to just be walking around in a hoodie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
like one of the top dog special guests too, like one of those, like, because he charged like 130 something or 140 something for his stuff, and I'm like, bro, I can't afford that. Oh, never mind, that's a lie, but I couldn't afford it. I didn't see the value.
Want
that's
to
the thing.
afford
I don't want to afford this.
You don't want to afford it.
Yeah, every time we talked about it, Derpy'd be like, you better have like the Boba Fett costume and everything for these prices.
Yeah, dude.
Nope.
Which at that point, it's like, how do you even know it's him? Are you just taking a picture of the
It's so
cosplay?
true.
He at least should have the helmet off, maybe, I guess, but still.
Yeah, he could. I mean, it's not like he wore the helmet in Book of Boba Fett at all.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, he barely wore that thing when he's supposed to. So
He just kind of walked around with it on his hip, and he talked about how Jabba ruled with fear, and I will rule with respect. But anyway, yeah. So he walked by after a hard year of making a boring show, and that more or less brings us to the end of Friday. Me and Derpy went back to our room. We played Kirby Air Ride. We watched Guy Fieri and his family barbecue for like 5 hours.
Wow.
And then
that was pretty funny.
it was like it was an entire show, but like
Yeah.
as in a TV series, but every episode was like the same thing. Him and his family were in a field making barbecue.
Weird.
So
Yeah, like legit, like they just consistent. Like I think he's the only channel on the Food Network. Like I have no idea. Like I've never seen anything else on the Food Network besides Guy Fieri, which is really funny.
when he's not driving around the United States, him and his family just find a field and have like a week-long feast in it, apparently. Anyway, Saturday. The crow does his morning cock-a-doodle-doo. I know that's
the
a
guy
rooster,
in the
not a
truck,
crow.
you mean, that was doing laps?
Yeah, the guy in the truck.
Yeah.
The city equivalent of a rooster cock-a-doodle-doodling. The Fast and Furious guy revs his engine particularly loudly. I went to the cafe to get a $3 complimentary breakfast and a little grenade of apple juice. Also realizing that I'm the only person here who's treating it like the complimentary breakfast. Everyone else is either dressed nicely or in their cosplay, and I'm in my jammies.
They had people at cosplay in there too. Dang.
Oh yeah,
I was
people
knocked out
came
of
through
sleep.
in like JRPG fantasy outfits.
That's
And I was in
hilarious. Oh, that's cool.
I was in my Gudra hoodie and my gray sweatpants. I felt so out of place, like I just came back from a jog. But they called it a breakfast taco. It was a burrito.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was a burrito.
Yeah, I don't know why they called it a taco. There was no hard shell.
Maybe
it
that's
was
just
good,
a Texan thing.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
just kidding. I
Those,
don't doubt that's the
those
case.
darn Texans don't know what a burrito is. You'd think with the whole Tex-Mex thing, they'd be kind of clued into that.
I mean, whoa,
There's
that is not only a burrito, but they panini pressed it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's something.
It was an interesting little place. I did ask if I could get the cheese taken off, and they're like, well, we pre-made these things. And I was like, That's fine. And I was just like, dear Lord, please don't let that cheese do something to me.
Please, not today.
Thankfully, it didn't. But and then we ended up at the convention, as you do on a Saturday. I don't think anything crazy happened on the way there. Yeah. There was a building that was shaped like a sandcrawler from Star Wars, but other than that...
I got it. I took a picture of it.
Yeah,
I took a picture of a lot of stuff because I was out of my comfort
that
zone in
thing! I
places, yeah.
hate that building. It's so ugly.
What if you leaned on the windows? Would you like fall out of them? Like I'm curious about that because like that's like it's slanted.
That picture also looks photoshopped.
Oh my god!
Because the sky, it's so blue and flat.
Yeah.
So Saturday, what happened Saturday?
I mean, I can tell you my day started at 7 a.m. sharp, and it took me an hour and a half to put my makeup on.
Good.
To turn into the
Okay.
skeleton.
At first, I was like, "Man, it must suck to be a woman." And
No.
then I realized what you're talking about.
This was different. No, I mean, I woke up and then I realized, since I was doing skeleton face makeup, I was like, I need to cover my eyebrows because I can't have eyebrows, right? And I know from watching so many makeup videos as a teenager, that the way you do it, the drag queens do it, you get one of the purple washable glue sticks, that you use for glue.
Interesting.
And you rub it in your eyebrow and you brush your eyebrows up to make them flat, right? And then you can put the makeup on top of it once it dries. So I got to experience that for the first time, but I didn't have glue, so it's like 7 a.m. and I'm like rushing over to CVS. And I'm like, please have a glue stick for me.
Please tell me y'all got purple glue sticks so that I can glue up my eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly.
As you do at 7 in the morning.
And they did. They had one purple glue stick left, and it was glorious. And I was able to glue up my eyebrows and put my skeleton makeup on. But then when we were driving over there, I realized I forgot my contacts. So I would have to be a skeleton with glasses or either blind the whole time.
Oh my god.
So that marked my glorious adventure of being either blind or a skeleton with glasses the entire rest of the weekend. But the eyebrow trick worked like a charm. It was great. Didn't have any issues with that.
So yeah, I guess the major thing, there are little things we could talk about, but the major thing is the picture.
The picture.
TM.
Mm-hmm.
So, last time, me, Aspen, and my childhood friend went and got a picture next to a plexiglass wall with Brendan Fraser on the other side of it.
Yup.
And I'll leave it up to the viewer with the description. We don't have the Brendan Fraser picture here. Maybe someone will put it up. I don't know. But we do have the Giancarlo Esposito picture, where even though we are in the same room and in borderline intimate closeness to him, it could definitely be a much better picture, like than the Brendan Fraser one. Like on a meme level, the Brendan Fraser one, it just looks like someone taped two pictures together. Yeah. But with the Giancarlo one, it's like you've got the little girl with the astronaut suit. You've got the Gumby costume spoilers. You've got Giancarlo in the middle of these two people hugging him, and he does not look like he's having fun.
No, he looks like he's really mad that we're there.
Yeah, he does not look happy.
He's either upset that we're in his personal bubble or just thinking about the life choices that have gotten him to this point.
Yeah.
And why have I gotten to this point where people dressed as these wildly different people?
So in the
Next to
midst of him having nerds all up in his grill, there's also a deflated Gumby standing dangerously close to him.
I even fist bumped him too, and he panicked. His hands like swapped around, and I'm like, he probably wasn't expecting a fist bump, but like.
I think it's because we were dressed up like a spaceman and Gumby, and he just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
he was facing a lot of whiplash or whatever that was.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, there's so many things going on right now.
Maybe his Twitter feed makes him seem more like socially outgoing than he really is, and he just had like an anxious moment with like people wanting to fist bump him and shake his hand and like Christian side hug him and stuff. And they're also in costumes. He never thought that would happen at a comic convention. Who knows? But yeah, that was the highlight of the day. My two things was I wanted to go to the Don Bluth panel and I wanted to take a picture with Gus. And I did the Gus picture and I skipped the Don Bluth panel because I wanted to buy more stuff.
Also, I will say, before we got to the picture and stuff, we ended up going back to the hotel.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I was
about
in the
that.
Gumby costume, and that was a dumb decision. I shouldn't even. I should have taken it off of the back. But
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, so I'm not like an anxious person. I don't talk about like, panic attacks or anything because I don't really have them. But that day, there were a lot of people. I was holding a lot of stuff, and I wanted to go home and eat something. So we did. Just take a little breather, eat some food, put the stuff down, go buy some more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many people there. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people. Like, it was hard to walk around at times because there were so many people.
Oh, yeah. I forgot I bumped into so many people wearing that Gumby costume, bro, because everyone's just everywhere, bro. I'm like, dude.
I think
I'm like, man.
That was another aspect of it, was I was also kind of your handler. Like in the
yeah,
middle,
that's true. I was following
in the
him
middle
wherever he
of
went, 'cause
this
I'm like, I don't know where to
dense
go.
ocean of people, I was like corralling Gumby everywhere, which is really hard to do when everyone and their mom apparently loves Gumby.
That is also true. Everybody and their mother was like, yo, the first comment I got, I'm not even lying, as we were walking in, I heard a guy, I think he said, yo, Gumby's at the function. I'm just like, I did not expect. I was like, dude, I already knew it was gonna go. Everybody kept talking. Everybody kept being like, can I get a picture with you? Or all that. Like, I had two anime girls come up and get a picture with me. One girl goes, dude, your voice is such a vibe. I'm not even lying. I'm like, well, I appreciate it. Like, I don't know what that means. But yeah, there were so many people, dude, taking pictures of me, bro. It was insane.
After the Gus photo, every time me and Aspen would turn around, you would be gone again.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, well, yeah, give us a second to find the giant green rectangle. And then sure enough, we would find you taking a picture with someone like over there. Like you had stopped like 3 seconds before we turned around because someone wanted a picture with you. That does remind me. There was another moment. I finally got to go to the Japanese arcade. It was kind of cool. I played one game. I played Hatsune Miku Project Diva or something. Because I was like, I recognize the name of that game, and I think it'd be a funny personal meme to try a Japanese rhythm game. It was fine, whatever. And then we awkwardly hung around when another guy walked up because he obviously wanted to turn. I was like, you mind if we watch you play it? And he was like, no. And then he did the harder mode and he got a better score than me.
Dang.
And I was like,
he was
man.
insane, bro. This man probably played it a lot, or he's just that good at rhythm games.
I was like, you ever played this before? And like, I didn't say it like that. That sounded. You ever play this before? No, I was like, I'm just curious because it is a Japanese arcade machine. So, but he said yes. So I don't know if he's been in Japan or if Dave and Buster's just has a Hatsune Miku Project Diva arcade machine or something.
That would be weird.
Yeah, that would stand out a little bit. We found a giant screen with Mario Kart 64, and I was like, ooh, Mario Kart, let's game it up retro style. And then we sat down, me and Gumby, to play Mario Kart 64, and It wasn't until I got into the race that I realized my controller was broken. It naturally went to the left, and you would have to press to the right, like all the way, to make them go straight,
Oh,
which
boy.
means it's impossible to go to the right, because you're either going left by default or pressing right so hard that you go straight. There is no going right, which is really cool in a game where you go right quite a bit. And then people were walking up and be like, man, Wario's having some trouble. And I held up my controller and was just pressing A. I was like, it's not me, I promise.
Wario over here.
Yeah, it's like, someone sucks. And I was like, yeah.
That's so
I was
mean.
told I was
Yeah,
I was able to finish the race at least, I think.
I wasn't. Yeah, my Mario Kart pride was hurt so badly, even though it was like for a reason. This is
Yeah.
happening for a reason. And
They
then
didn't know that.
I was like, okay, I have a strategy. And I took one of the controllers that wasn't being used and I unplugged it and switched it with my controller, and that one didn't work. So I just went, hey, Derpy, I've got an idea. And he was like, what? And I just went, let's just walk away.
In the middle of a
From the
game, by the
shame.
way. I didn't know how
Yeah.
to pause. There's no pause button. I didn't know how to pause the game either. Like, this is a 64 is ancient technology to me,
Yeah.
bro. I don't
No
know how to
pause
use
button.
this.
Well,
Yeah.
there is a pause button. It's right in the middle of the controller where it always
Oh,
is.
okay.
But you didn't know
No.
that
I was
because you didn't grow up
panicking.
with one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you were panicking because I was like, let's just go. And you were like, but what am I supposed to do? And I was like, put it down and let's go. And
It'll be fine.
You were like, but... And I was like, it's
Yeah,
their
I wanted-
console. They can get it sorted out. Let's go. I don't want to be here.
I was like, dude, I felt bad kind of leaving it on a game for homies, you know, like maybe they wanted to like, you know, play a game and stuff, but if I don't know how to do it.
I mean, they could
then-
try the way that we did, but it's not my problem that the controller doesn't work. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did take off my Gumby mask face a lot, so they won't know it's entirely Gumby, so that's also really fun.
Yeah, Gumby's
Yeah.
image is restored or saved.
They
Yeah.
might have, it might have just been like a green Power Ranger with like a really lame outfit.
Really baggy
Yeah, it's
costume.
Yeah,
'Cause
really.
when I went to the convention on Saturday, I went into the bathroom and Batman was there. I mean, that had nothing to do with it, but like I went to there was a Batman guy. When I went out of there, I didn't have the Gumby head on me. And when I put it on there, the guys were like, "Oh, it's Gumby. That's so cool." I was like, "Oh, so I think it's like a mask thing where it's like if the mask is down, nobody knows."
Yeah.
So like I think that's probably what's going on was that like since the mask was down during the Japanese arcade, you know, the homies of Japan aren't gonna hate on Gumby for this. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of the thing with
Thankfully.
mine because I would have to take my helmet off to go to the bathroom because it was on my shoulders and I was wearing a jumpsuit, so I
Oh.
had to unzip the whole thing.
Oh, I hate that.
But I would take my helmet off and I would have to like squeeze my head through without ripping all the makeup off my face. But then I would just be like a skeleton looking janitor because like there's
Oh,
just
golly.
nothing. It just doesn't make sense without the helmet. And I'm not actually wearing like a space costume. It's just a white jumpsuit. So I'm sure everyone was like, "What?" Oh, and that reminds me.
A skeleton janitor.
Yeah, they probably thought I worked there. But there was one point, I don't know if this was Saturday or Sunday, but it doesn't matter. I walked into the bathroom, did the bathroom, and then when I was washing my hands to get out, there was like an actual janitor lady that was working, and she was like, "Oh, you look so beautiful. You all look so beautiful," to like everyone else. But she specifically said to me, looking me in my eyeballs, "You look so beautiful with this skull makeup on." And I was like, is she working, like, is this one of these fancy bathrooms where, like, the person stays in the bathroom and hands you the towels and, like, they want tips? Or is she just crazy? Like, I don't know what was going on.
Your paper towel, sir.
Yeah,
And might I add, you are beautiful.
It was so weird. And then I was just so thrown off after that because I just didn't understand what she meant.
I think she was just a Tim Burton fan. Thought it was cool that you were pale and dead looking. And, you know, Danny Elfman was there that day.
Yeah.
Jack Skellington was there. She's a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, she was like, I don't know where the space helmet comes in or the fact that you're wearing all white, but that's a beautiful Jack Skellington costume.
It's crazy.
in the fact that you're more of the size of the little witch girl than Jack. But,
Oh yeah, that'll come up for Sunday talk when I spoiler met David Tennant for like 5 seconds, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I don't think I mentioned anything that I've bought up until this point, but like Friday I only bought one little printout of Halsin from Baldur's Gate 3. Halsin representation, but this entire like expo was just like books for me because I don't remember the first time, but I felt like there were a lot of people, like authors, self-published authors, selling their books at this convention. I don't remember that from the first one, and I felt inspired because I'm kind of in my book girl era right now, and I was like, yeah, I'll roll the dice on one of these books, and I walked up to a table, and it was like a joined table, so like one woman was selling her sci-fi novels and then the other woman was selling her fantasy novels, and I didn't want to like buy one and not the other right in front of the other author because I was specifically talking to both of them at the same time, like they were both talking to me, so I was like, I'll just take both, please.
Well, it's so great y'all are pursuing your dream, but I just want yours.
I know, it was like bad, but I got both books, and I can say since some time has passed, I did read one of them so far because the other one is like 600 pages long, but this one was short. And I don't want to be mean just because, you know, it's like a self-published author and like I don't want to be cliche or anything, but it could use some work. It wasn't.
I got you.
It didn't stand out.
So what you're saying is she sucks.
No, it didn't suck. It was just like there was no editor. That was the thing that kind of got me. There was like a couple of times in the book where there would be a sentence that just didn't, like, there was no ending to it. It just like paragraph ended. No, like man. It was just like, and then the next paragraph started, and I was like, huh.
Dang.
And I was like, I get it. Self-publish. It's tough. You got to do everything yourself. But
you gotta find a friend who can do that for you.
Yeah, just get one other person to read it before you print it.
Or to spell check it too.
Yeah. But I mean, it was fine. I read through the whole thing, and it wasn't boring, but I wouldn't say it was anything special.
Was this the sci-fi or the fantasy?
The sci-fi. I haven't even touched the fantasy one yet. Well, I read the first few chapters to get an idea for it, but it's like 600 pages. I gotta mentally prepare for that.
Our generation's Lord of the Rings, I see.
Yes, and it's one of 3 books too.
Oh, dude, just like Lord of the Rings, bro.
But it was inspiring, I will say. Overall, I want to be an author now, so I'm in the process of writing my first book, and it's all thanks to, even though the sci-fi book was kind of bad, it still inspired me. So there you go.
So the moral of this story is if you have an idea for a thing, even if it's not in its perfect, purest form that you want it to be in your head, you should put it out into the world because it might inspire someone.
Exactly. But anyway.
Well, that is cool. I know that like they'll like make fanzines and stuff and sell them at conventions, but I've never seen it for myself. I don't know where the book people you found were.
They were over by the comic artists.
Derpy and I only went down the little comic area once, and it was just so that I could get like an art print from the guy who made the Venom Lethal Protector thing. But anyhow, what else happened Saturday? I feel like something else happened. Oh yeah, there was the comic guys who had the old like Scrooge McDuck and like Looney Tunes comics, and I bought a bunch of them, and then they were like, hey, you see the Felix the Cat comic back there? And I was like, no, I'll take it though. They were like, nice. It's a little politically incorrect though. And I was like, hey, everything was back then. And they were like, so true, man. So cool to see a kid your age liking this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, what can I say? By the way, I didn't see any Raggedy Ann. And they were like, Raggedy Ann, you say? Well, we don't have any here with us, but we are, local to the area. We can go back to the store tonight, get you some Raggedy Ann comics for tomorrow. And I was like, okay. I'll be here tomorrow. Spoilers, I got 3 Raggedy Ann comics, which is really cool because I had a list of things I wanted to get, and the 2 things on that list I got were a GameCube game. I got Custom Robo for the GameCube, and 3 Raggedy Ann comics. I did not find any My Life as a Teenage Robot, anything. Con people, step it up, please. I want to feel represented. I didn't find Bobobo. I did find something Metroid related, but I didn't buy it. I bought plenty, don't worry. Yeah. I'm mostly offended by the My Life as a Teenage Robot stuff. There was none. There was none. Oh, we could talk about this as well, Derpy. The Gus picture wasn't the only one the 2 of us got.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I had to think about it, yeah.
You can tell that story.
There was this random guy just kind of shouting out, like going like, hey, like we're doing a free photo for anybody if you'd like to take a photo and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. I'm like, hey, dude, Ubu, come here, bro. But like, basically, me and him got next to each other, and they had a green screen, and I'm Gumby, so I'm green. I'm like, if I'm in front of this, like, how's this gonna work? And he's like, don't you worry, we got it, bro. And so we saw the image basically of after he took the picture, and him and I are laughing a bit. Like at the start, it looked like Mr. Popo was like staring at everybody with like just the face and stuff.
It was just a creepy, disembodied face next to me just standing there. Then they put us in the Death Star hallway, and we each got our own tiny baby pet astromech droid. And they were like, and there you go. Funny. That'll be $25. It's like the software was impressive because they just like Microsoft Paint tooled the Gumby back in.
Yeah.
But it is funny because they were like, you want to be on a Star Wars planet? And we were like, I guess. And they just put us, they were like, you want Death Star? Okay. Do you want this? Okay. Yeah, well, you can put the little droids next to us, I guess.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And the reason Gumby looks the way he does in this image here is because there's a guy behind me holding up the back of the head because I'm wearing a 6-foot person costume basically in a like a 5'9" guy basically, and it's so goofy. And so there's a guy behind me holding it up. And I will say it was a little awkward. The guy behind me said, "Dude, we'll do anything to make your con experience the greatest thing." The one thing he says is the one thing he shouldn't have said when it came to that, and he goes, "Oh, we'll even praise Satan for you." I'm like, bro, you have no idea. You told the 2 people in this world.
Ironically, that's the last thing.
What a random thing to say.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, bro, and he goes, "Praise the Dark Lord." I'm like, brother, I didn't tell him we were Christian. I didn't want to tell him that, but I was like, dude. I was like, the last thing I want to do is like,
praise Satan.
Yeah. And I didn't explain the lightsaber, but they had a lightsaber. The lightsaber, they let you hold. There was a stand like really close to the entrance. They had lightsabers, and they were letting you like hold the lightsabers. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm a sucker for if they let you hold it. I'm more than likely gonna buy it. I'm not gonna lie. And so I was like, dude, the homie Ubu, you gotta take a picture of me as Gumby, holding a lightsaber, bro, for my community, because we have this terrible joke. Well, it's not a terrible joke. This amazing joke in the community about how I made a terrible AI generated Gumby lightsaber guy, and so I tried to recreate something funny for the community, and while I lacked the Coco Bolo shorts, I still had the lightsaber. And I held it, and I was like, man, I like this. And I asked, can I take a picture? She said, yeah, you could take a picture. And I asked, how much do these cost? And she goes, well, it varies. It depends on which one you want. I'm like, and I like the one, I fell in love with the one I was holding because it was already blue when I opened it, even though it could change color by itself. And I'm like, how much is this one? And she goes, $250. And I'm like, I'm going to buy it. And so I bought it. And I liked it. And the guy who was there, he even followed my Twitch. So I thought that was kind of funny. But he showed me you can change the lightsaber color and all that. And I was like, what the crud? I'm like, I was just wanting the blue. I didn't know you could change the color. No wonder it's $250. And it's like a metal hilt, too. It's not like a toy hilt. Like, it's straight up metal. It's cold. It's pretty cool.
It's cold.
Oh, one thing. I got to see the Jack Skellington's voice actor. I got to, the homie Ubu was with me. And the line wasn't very long. And I was like, sick! Because everybody else and their mother had a gigantic line. I think it's because he was announced late. And a lot of people didn't know he was going to be there. But, we were in line for a little bit. And I was Gumby the entire time. And we got further and further. And we got to the assistant finally. And I talked to her and I'm like, hello. I'm like, can I get this signed by him? And she's like, that's cool. And I'm like, can you also say Jedi Gumby? And she freaking looked at me like, I could tell, like, she said okay, but you could tell by the way she talked to me, this homie thought I was freaking weird up the wazoo. Like, okay, like, I've not had this before in my life. All right, well, that's cool. And I got a picture of Jack Skellington's, like, thing, but I did that and I walked over to him and he had a mask on. And then he asked Ubu his name. He didn't ask me my name, which I thought was funny. He never asked me my name.
He knows your
but he
name.
asked Ubu's name.
He was like, I know who you are. You're Jedi Gumby. But who are you? Yeah. So he was like, and you are? And I was like, oh, this is just for him. And he was like, I want to know your name. So I could say hi. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I got to fist bump Jack Skellington twice. Which is funny because I didn't grow up with my Nightmare Before Christmas or anything. Jack Skellington is in Kingdom Hearts, so I know him from that. I know what Nightmare Before Christmas is, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm never washing these knuckles again.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's like there are people out there who probably want to meet him and they haven't, but I have.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
And he did actually write Jedi Gumby on the autograph, so I thought that was kind of funny that he actually wrote it.
Well, it's funny because Jack Skellington's got such tiny little
feet. I didn't even see that.
He wears little bitty
Look how
boots.
tiny his feet are in that picture. Oh my gosh, bro.
He's got like tiny little high heels.
Bro, they must have put that together last second, bro. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, they didn't even think about that. They're like, oh crap, he needs feet.
Bro, get a picture of high heels and put it in there.
Yeah, just Photoshop stock photo high heels under his tiny ankles. But anyway, then me and Derpy went to Cowboy Chow, and then Saturday's over.
Cowboy Chow was fire, bro. That same waitress was there too. She was super nice to me.
We also saw a commercial for Scientology while we were
there. I told my Mima about that. She goes, what? I'm like, yeah, bro, they got Scientology here, bro.
But anyway, yeah, and I was blown away. I was like, I can't believe that in the year of our Lord 2024, we're actually seeing a commercial for Scientology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought everyone didn't care about this anymore.
Yeah, it's like a sports fan place too. Like what? Like do they care about Scientology as well? Sports fans?
Do they think blue collar Midwesterners / Southerners are actually going to join the Church of Scientology? But
they hope.
The answer is no. They don't have enough money to do that. So even if they wanted to, they wouldn't. Anyway, enough anti-Scientology propaganda. Sunday. What happened Sunday? Not a lot happened for me Sunday. I bought a Mojo Jojo thing. It's the only thing I bought that's actually being utilized. I just hung it up on a thumbtack that was already in my wall. Occasionally when I'm asleep, I'll hear dunk, 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 dunk on my wall, and that's the Mojo Jojo head like bumping on the wall from like the wind.
Haunting.
Yeah. Yeah, other than the Mojo Jojo, I think I ate something. Yeah, me and Derpy ate something. We talked with the lady who was also cosplaying as a Doctor Who person, I think, and she had
she got an
contacts.
autograph.
Yeah, she got an autograph of something. And then I was rushed out the door because my stepdad understandably doesn't like Dallas traffic, but poor Aspen's sister got to lay witness to how stressful that was.
Yeah, I was not there.
Yeah, you were in line to like hang out with your boy Purple Guy. So.
Yeah, I was in line to see David Tennant.
And then and then I went home. But that's not the end of the story for these people. Yeah. So talk.
Well, going off of David Tennant, I woke up and I put my skeleton makeup on again, and then I met up with my friend who is in love with David Tennant, and she was dressed up as an Ood from Doctor Who. And yeah, I basically got there. We threw Ubu's luggage in my sister's car, and then we got there.
Oh, yeah.
And I found my friend, and she had brought her friend, and he was like, oh, y'all are taking a picture with David Tennant? And I was like, yeah, we have an extra spot. And you want to be in it? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So then we basically immediately just have to go get in line to take pictures with David. But apparently the wombo combo of my Doctor Who skeleton and my friend's Doctor Who Ood just made everyone lose their minds, because we could hardly get over there because we were getting the Gumby treatment of people wanting to take our picture every 5 seconds, which is cool. Like, I didn't even expect anyone to recognize my character, let alone call it by name and want to take a picture with me. But yeah, and we were like making our way across the autograph field, getting our picture taken, and then Ubu called me, and I remember I was on the phone with you, and I was like, hang on, someone's taking my picture, and I have to put the phone down and close my eyes and pose as a skeleton, and they're like, all right, what's up? Because you were trying to leave, so that was a bit of a scheduling chaos, but it was fine after that. We got in the line. My friend was getting really anxious because David Tennant, and it was also Catherine Tate, by the way, so it was like a double celebrity moment. She played Donna in Doctor Who, for those who don't know.
Oh, so they're both in the picture? Is
yeah,
that what that is? Oh, okay, that's cool.
It was a team up picture, but it was so funny because what I said earlier, talking about me looking like a 10-year-old in a costume, I was the first in line, so I was the first person David saw when we walked up, and he didn't put his hands on his knees, but it was very close to him slapping his knees and being, oh, look at you!
Well, are you a little spaceman from Doctor Who?
And I was like,
that's cool.
I don't think he knew I was an adult human being.
Oh,
because I'm so short. And I had makeup on, and I was wearing this costume that looked really stupid. And that just blasted my brain.
He just thought he was taking a picture with a lovely family.
Yeah, no, that blasted
so
my
funny.
brain. I was just totally, anything I was gonna do, like try and hug him, shake his hand, anything, was just wiped from my brain. And I went to autopilot, and I just kind of like walked like a zombie and stood next to Catherine. And it was just, and it happened so fast, as it does. And then when I got out of there, I mean, you can see my friend's friend, his name's Lance. He's just like super buddy, like his best friend. It looks like he's known David his whole life.
Yeah,
and
I see that, yeah.
I was like, that could have been me, but I just got infantilized by David Tennant. And so yeah, the picture was over. I walked out, and as we were walking to the picture table, I was like, what just happened? It was just too much to handle. And I was like, I could have given him a hug, but I panicked. But anyway, I took the picture. It was great. In the Giancarlo Esposito one, I had my eyes open and I was smiling and I looked crazy because of the face paint. So in this one, I was like, I have to be in character, so I have to close my eyes and I can't smile. I smiled a little bit, but I was like, I have to look like a skeleton because this is the picture, And then I just look like a corpse. I look like I don't want to be there. So I messed that one up too. I just can't get a good picture with celebrities. I want to know what Lance is on, because that is like the best picture I've ever seen of just anyone. But
yeah, that was what I tried to be like with Gus, but he just wasn't having it.
I know.
Yeah, he didn't want any of that, bro.
He was like, I don't want to associate with any of you. Whereas with David
Lance
Tennant
and
Lance,
it's like the icing on
like,
cake.
This is my good friend Lance.
Yeah, it's like, so he's like even leaning into Lance, and they look like best friends, but Catherine is actively leaning away from me.
Yeah, she does look a little bit like I'm being not. At least she's smiling.
Yeah,
though.
I think it was kind of just
I
the
will
pose
say.
she took, and I'm obviously just imposing emotions on this picture. but it's just funny.
It looks like it could be get her away from me, but I think it's more of like we're leaned over, like we're having a good time.
Yeah,
you know?
But anyway, no, this was chill. This picture was fun, and I will cherish it forever.
Yeah, I'm hoping one day I can just get a normal picture like this.
I know. Like, one day maybe I will look as casual as David Tennant and Lance look, you know?
Yeah.
But
just like hanging out. Just guys being dudes.
yeah, exactly. But after that, you know, it was my friend's first time at FanExpo, and we just walked around, and I bought a couple more books from the horror author that was over there. And then we mostly just did panels the last day. Didn't really do anything exciting. There was one point where we went outside and just hung out because my friend needed like a break from the crowd. And it was Lance and I, and he's a storm chaser as a hobby, so we were just talking about tornadoes.
That would have been. I wish I could have met him.
I know. I just wish they had.
Dude, they had people from Twister there, didn't they? So I mean, that would have.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. They had the lady from Twister.
Yo, can I go use the restroom real quick? I ain't gonna lie, I've been drinking water like crazy.
He's just been over there sweating.
In the meantime, because you had mentioned walking out of the venue, one thing that Derpy and I had glossed over but not gone into detail about was the walk back to the hotel on Saturday. So imagine a hot Texas day. In the back of your mind, you're thinking we've only got like 45 minutes until this Gus picture's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
My arms are full with like stuff. I need to drop things off. Derpy is in full Gumby gear. Granted, he has taken the mask off at least, but he's still just in a giant green bag.
Mm-hmm.
And in our attempts to take a shortcut, we ended up walking through a part of town that was unfamiliar, including a street that obviously we should not have been on. And this is another instance where maybe Derpy talks a little too loudly and honestly about what's on his mind, where we're in a bad part of town, and he says something along the lines of, "Homie, I think this is a bad street," something like that. And as we walk by an alley with a mattress on it, he goes, "That looks like somewhere where you'd get pulled in and they'd rob you." And yeah, and it's like every time he talks, I like walk faster without saying anything.
Yeah.
And then a guy walks by and goes, "Hey," and Derpy goes, "Hi." And in my head, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing.
No survival instinct.
Yeah. Yeah, like it at that point, like Derpy could have been like had a knife held up to his face, and I would have been just like power walking, not even like not intentionally leaving him behind, but like I wouldn't have known where I wouldn't have known where he was because that guy said something, and I put my head down. I just walked faster.
Yeah,
that's my first experience with that, so I was just like, alrighty.
Well, thank literal God that nothing happened, because it could have been a guy who's saying "hey" because he wants your wallet.
Yeah.
Instead of just a homeless man who was feeling nice. All right, so now that you're back from peeing or what have you, tell us about your post-Ubu Sunday.
Oh yeah, it was wild. So I walked a little bit around just to check the merchant stuff and the merchants, and I walked up to the information booth because I'm like, okay, let's find out. Because I'm like, you know what, there's 2 panels today, let's just go see them. You know what I mean? And I went up to the panel for the Looney Tunes thing. No, not the Looney Tunes thing. The Toon People thing. So you've got
it was a Looney Tunes thing.
Yeah. So you've got the guy who does the voice for Bugs Bunny now, the newer one, and you've got Jim Cummings who does the voice of Winnie the Pooh, and the guy who does Jacko and Pinky and Carl Weezer there as well. So I thought that was kind of cool. I kind of sat there. I kind of sat by myself with my luggage. Also, to clarify, I had to carry my luggage around because I had to leave the convention center to go to the airport pretty much like after I was done with all this stuff. But yeah, when the questions came up, one question comes up which was very interesting was, how do you feel about the AI voices becoming a thing or something like that, do you think that your workplace is in danger because of this? And the first thing I hear is Jim Cummings literally go, I think those people need to die.
Whoa!
I'm like, brother, you are at a freaking panel. I almost burst out laughing when bro said he wanted them to die. I'm like, what the crap? Like, it's so comical, but I guess it was because it's very topical on the internet and people just outright hate AI. And so I don't know the whole thing about it. I'm not like I'm not into that conversation, but from an outside point of view, it was just like a wild whiplash of like, why is he saying this? But that was the main thing of it. After a while, it just kind of left. It just felt kind of like that was the highlight of that. Like, it didn't feel very friendly. It just felt like hey, I'm here. Couple people want to worship these voice actors, basically. And, and that was it. But the Rob Paulson guy seemed like a pretty cool dude. He didn't seem unhinged like my boy Jim Cummings, bro. Jim Cummings was just like out to kill, I guess, at that point. 30 minutes later is the Butch Hartman panel. That one I really liked. That's my highlight for panel-wise, because I only been to one panel, and I'm like, well, is Butch Hartman going to say he's going to want AI people to die too in this one? Like, what's going on here? And I sat next to a guy in a Pikachu onesie. and I think his girlfriend was there with him too, and I just started talking to him. I bet I made him uncomfortable. He didn't look me in the eyes, but I didn't look him in the eyes either, so it's like I can't really complain. So Butch Hartman comes in, and he has the voice of Azula from Last Airbender.
Nice.
I didn't know she did the voice for Vicky, but she did the voice for Vicky in Fairly Odd Parents, to clarify.
That's true.
But Butch Hartman was a pretty cool guy. They were talking about some art and stuff, and I don't know the full thing they were talking about really, because they kind of just jumped into questions right off the bat, which I thought was cool. Because I was like, I think that's what people are there. They just want to ask some questions. The first question really struck me though. The first question that he gets asked is, "How does your faith impact your work?" And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, is this homie a Christian? Like, what is this? Like, that's the first thing I ever thought of. And believe it or not, he opens up and just talks about, like, you know, he's a Christian. I was like, what in the world? I'm like, I didn't expect this. So I'm like, you know, obviously, you know, me being a Christian, that hyped me up. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But, you know, I thought that was cool. And he said something really strong, too, that I think is appropriate for, like, you know, even people who don't know anything about Christianity. He said something really cool about, like, how you should try to work to make this world a better place with the position that you're in. And I was like, dude, I really like that. Like, that's just really approachable for anybody who's listening to that. And I just think that's cool to also, like, you know, they're sewing into kids, basically, like, some good stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that's cool things, because, you know, you don't want to, like, you know, these kids have a future. And for you to, like, you want to, like, help them improve that future, I think is such a cool thing. So I love that a lot about
foster that future instead of telling them that if they dabble in AI that you'll kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you know, like imagine being a kid going up to Jim Cummings' panel, like, oh, I'm going to hear Winnie the Pooh's voice, and then you hear this man start going wild and crazy about like, yeah, bro, I'm going to kill some AI people, bro. Like, that would be horrifying. But this was very child friendly. Everything was cool at this panel. So I didn't get to meet him or nothing, but they were all nice. Very cool thing. My favorite panel, without a doubt. It was really cool, really fun.
I will say, while obviously I wasn't at this panel, because by the time you were at this panel, my family and I were already hitting the road going back home. But on Saturday, when we were walking through the little celebrity area, we did see Butch Hartman like doing autographs at his table, and he had like a little tablet in front of him, and he was like drawing pictures for people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I even saw on his social media too that he was actually drawing. Like, he drew a Johnny Bravo sketch and gave it to somebody. You know, I thought that was cool.
Dude, why didn't I think of that?
Oh,
well, hopefully he comes back next year or the year after.
He would be very cool to meet if he comes back. And after that, I'm like, okay. So this is where the things ramp up a lot, though. It's like, all right, I'm like, okay, it's time. I got to go get my Uber. I got to get to the airport because, you know, I want to be there 2 hours early because my mom will kill me. So Ubu and your sister, Aspen, were when they went outside the convention. I thought that was where I was supposed to be picked up for an Uber. And I put the Uber thing in, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'll wait here, and he'll come pick me up or something. The Uber app says I was at a certain spot. The guy picking me up said, hey, I'm here, bro. Let's pick you up. And I'm like, no car showed up. And I'm like, are you sure? And because I called him, because I'm like, I want to make sure. he has a heavy Nigerian accent. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. So I talked with him a bit, and he was still all right. It was hard to understand him. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with him. It makes it hard when it's like, someone that's hard to understand over a phone. So what happens is the convention has an Uber pickup place specific, right? I didn't know that. I'm going to be honest with you. I was outside waiting the entire time. And I had no clue. And so he proceeds to tell me, okay, I'm at like this parking lot C, something like that. So in my brain, okay, I'm going to go back in and look for Hall C. I found a thing called Ramp C. So I'm like, okay, that must be Hall C, right? So I go down and I'm spiraling down and I go down here and it looks like a warehouse. Not even lying. Absolute warehouse. I'm like, this does not look right. This doesn't look right. This is a warehouse area. So I find a worker there and I'm like, hey, do you know where the parking is? Like where the parking stuff is? And he goes, I'm new here. I don't know. And I'm like, oh man. I'm like, and I don't know. He was sitting in a chair. I feel like he was just trying to get me away from him. But he basically was like,
break, man, get away from me.
Yeah, but he did proceed to tell me that there was a parking garage around the corner. Well, I'm lost as crud. I have a lightsaber sticking out of my backpack. I have a wall scroll thing also sticking out of my backpack. I'm like a walking guy with a radio. I look like a kid with a radio backpack or some crud, just walking around like I'm lost. And I go and I somehow found staff parking. I didn't find the parking garage. I found staff parking. And I'm telling Hezekiah on the phone, hey, I found staff parking. And he's like, where are you at? Like, what is going on? And he proceeds to tell me I have to go to this place called Lamar Street. It's ceremonial. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know where that is. So I just kept walking into the parking lot garage, and he's still talking to me on the phone. So I found the parking garage for the convention, but not the Uber pickup convention thing. And so this one guy walks over to me, and he goes, all right, man, I'll help you out. Let's go. And he walks over there, and he points across, and he sees that there's another, like, under bridge area. And he's like, all right, if you go there and just take a right, just go down there and then take a right. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. I'm like, thank you, man. So I got closer. I found the Lamar Street. That to me was like the shining pinnacle because I could hardly understand Hezekiah, but I knew the end goal was Lamar Street. I found Lamar Street. So I'm like, okay, Lamar Street, I found it. I was dead lost. And then he was like, I think I see you. And I'm like, he didn't see me, by the way, just to clarify.
I was not there.
Yeah. And I'm sitting still and I'm looking around and he goes, no, I can't. And he's like, I can't see. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ask these police officers because there's 2 police officers. One police officer tells me, yeah, I don't know where that is. And then proceeds to send me to another police officer. I'm like, brother, or sister at this point, sister. Like, what the heck's going on here? Like, y'all don't know you're a police officer. But, I didn't tell her that. But, so I walked to this other lady, and she goes, yep, you see that ramp over that way? And so she said, go down that, and you'll find Memorial Street. 'Cause that's what I was looking for, is a Memorial Street. And so I'm like, okay, no, not Memorial Street, sorry, Ceremonial Street. And so I'm like, okay, and then I'm talking to Hezekiah on the phone. And I'm walking down there, and I walk up to a stop sign. It says Memorial Street, not Ceremonial Street. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm on the phone. Yeah, I'm on the phone. I'm like, I'm at Memorial Street. He goes, no, you're not supposed to be at Memorial Street. And I'm like, oh crud. So I'm freaking out. He's mad
at me.
I'm like, I felt so bad. I kept apologizing to him, and I was like, listen, if you gotta hang up or something, man, like you can go if you want, and I'm sorry if I'm wasting your time. And he goes, no, if I hang up on you right now, other people are gonna have the same problem with you. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right. I'm sitting there. I'm about to cry. I ain't even lying. Like, I'm about to cry. I'm like freaking. I'm like, I got a plane. Yeah, I'm stressing like crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know where Memorial Street.
Yeah.
I'm about to weep, bro. And I'm walking down, and I walked up a place. I'm like, okay, I'm not. He mentions train tracks, so I'm looking for train tracks. I'm like, I don't think I'm where train tracks are. So I go back to where, literally, I'm kind of like right in front of the police officer that told me where to go, and I see train tracks, and I was like, okay, hey, I found some train tracks, Hezekiah. And he goes, you're at some train tracks? All right, I'm gonna drive down there, and I'm gonna flash my lights. And so the holy grail of this man, I see the flashing lights, and I finally find him as I'm sweating like crazy. And I walk up, and he, of course, has the most cruddy vehicle in existence. Great AC, though. And I thanked him for his time with me. I looked at the phone record. I was on the phone 30 minutes with him. An entire 30 minutes. I was lost. And And I told him, I said, I'm going to give you a big tip, bro. Like, I'm not even lying. Like, you sat here and, like, you know, took a lot of time. And he goes, listen, man, if I would have let you alone in their spirit, who knows what God would have done to me or something like that. And I'm like, okay. and I asked, I was like, you a Christian? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, ain't this wild, man? Ain't that something?
Meant to be.
So then your big tip was $5.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Imagine.
I tried to give him $50 as a tip, and I know it's like, dude, it's like, you know, I'm glad I could afford that at that point. You know, that's one of those things I wanted to afford was the $50 tip. Uber didn't take the $50 tip. I don't know why. I even added an extra money to it to see if it would work. Uber did not want the tip, and I couldn't just, you know, redo the tip anymore. So I was like, I hate this, and so I couldn't tip him until the next day after. But I finally was able to tip him like Monday afterwards. And then I got the TSA with my lightsaber. That was pretty funny. And I asked them, I was like, do you think this will get through TSA? And they said it might, but you might want to check with the Southwest, because I went with Southwest. And I went to this, the conveyor belt people, because they let you put bags in and stuff.
Yeah.
And I pull out my lightsaber. I'm like, you think this will go in? And he looks at it and goes, that ain't gonna survive, bro. And I'm like, I paid a lot of money for this. And he goes, listen, you can check this in as a bag, but I can't guarantee that this is going to work. And I was like, dang it, man. And I didn't know. I was like, I'll check it in, like, if I can. And then the guy next to him, he said, hey, do you think this will go through TSA? And he goes, nope, that'll look like a weapon. They ain't gonna take it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I paid $250 for this freaking.
You should have pulled out the website and been like, according to the TSA website, you accept toy lightsabers. Do you think this is a real lightsaber, sir?
Somehow.
I was a little scared, so I was like, okay, because Southwest isn't TSA, but since they said it, I was like, okay. I will check this in as a bag, because, like, what's worse, right? Losing $250 or having to buy a bag, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
because TSA will confiscate it and throw it away.
Yeah, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
So,
or worse, they would confiscate it and then play with it. And not give it
I
back
know.
to you.
Yeah.
That would hurt the most too. Like, well, it's mine anyway. I'm like, dang it. But I was able to get it because the guy who told me that TSA wouldn't allow it, most likely because it could be perceived as a weapon, he gave me a ski bag that you put skis in. I'm like, yep, fine.
Nice.
I'm like, so he let me label it, and turns out Southwest gives you 2 free bag check-ins that aren't carry-on. And I was like, what the crud? I was like, no way. So I was like, yeah, get this thing in here. And he goes, are you sure though? It's like, this might not survive. I'm like, man, I got a warranty on this dang thing. I'm gonna use it if I have to. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. So,
yeah, fair.
I said, I'm sorry if this is random. And he straight up says, I've had a lot of weird things come into this conveyor belt. I'm not gonna lie. He said a dude brought in a spare tire one time to bring it on a plane. And I burst out laughing a bit. And the people behind me laughed, and I was just like, well, I went in and I was like, hey, I got a box of metal. Because it's the Mandalorian stuff. I have metal stuff. And I'm like, is this going to go through? He goes, how much metal? I'm like, it's in this box. He goes, you just put it in there. I just put it in the box.
It's an ingot of Vescar. Have you ever heard of it?
Ingot?
I got a straight up ingot I'm bringing. And so luckily, they let me through, and that was cool. And yeah, I got through at that point, and the lightsaber came back home fine. And so that was really cool. But yeah, that was my Sunday. It was crazy. It was wild. I was having a heart attack, but I got back home safe.
That's good.
The important thing is we all got home safe,
Yep.
and we had presumably a good time. Would y'all say you had a good time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go
I
back
had a
right
lot
now.
of fun.
Well, that
That's
was
true.
the next question I was going to ask is, do y'all think maybe we'll go back? I don't know, maybe next year? Question mark.
I'm down.
If
to
I
go
can
back.
afford it, yes. I want to afford this one though, so that would be cool.
Yeah. I think I'll wear a costume next
Ooh.
year. I don't want to, you know, say something that I'm not actually going to do, but I want to go as Coach McGurk.
I was about to say, my suggestion: don't have a costume with a helmet, because
No,
wow.
I'm gonna get a red onesie, put some yellow lines on it, buy a whistle, get a yellow polo to wear under my onesie, then get a haircut and spike my hair.
Nice.
That'll be funny.
Yeah, but I know this year was a lot of fun. There were some characters, not quite lady listening to snuff film on the train or guy possibly dead on a train characters, but still moments that made you feel unsafe, like those.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, do y'all have any closing remarks before we stop doing this?
Follow
Jim.
your dreams.
All right,
Amen.
follow your dreams, and Jim.
Yeah, Jim Cummings, what do you call it? I hope you're all right, and I'm gonna be praying for you, homie. I hope you're okay. I don't know who hurt you, but
AI people, apparently.
Yeah, these AI people, they won't get away with it, man. All right, you don't have to kill them.
He wants his revenge.
Yeah, don't
All
take
right.
revenge, bro.
Yeah, so follow your dreams and don't take revenge. Thanks for sticking around. Maybe next year we'll have another one. We'll see. All right. Everyone say the Movie Grits catchphrase in 3, 2, 1.
Get away from that llama!
I don't know what that is.